my papers. Hi guys. Hello. Welcome to Songs for the Soul. This is our 13th meeting. Lucky we're 13. It is blessed. We are blessed. So, anyway, let me give you the spiel that you guys have heard a million times, and then we will get this thing going, okay? Would you switch seats, Alina?
Yeah. I'm very curious.
Oh, you're not in mine. You're not in mine. I make sure you're cut off.
All right, guys.
Huh?
You got no space? Are you okay there? You got paper?
I can't sit next to these people.
I got extra paper. Does everybody have paper? Everybody need one? Okay, good.
I'm good.
Good. Becky, you need a paper?
I'll take it.
Come here, I got you.
Here's one right here.
Look at that. You got one too?
I got one.
I printed 24.
Just forward it through the ages.
Really good.
There we go. Right one.
That was super good.
That was a good address.
He's not trying to stand.
Oh, we're in for it today. I can just feel it. All right. So, what is Songs for the Soul? A journey through sacred hymns. This is an opportunity to experience old hymns in a new, more in-depth way. We're going to see how God worked in the heart of musicians and artists and poets. The purpose and goals of this class is to experience God's love for us through music and sing with deeper understanding, intent, and meaning. Yes, to get a little bit more out of these hymns. What we are discussing today is Forward Through the Ages, number 555. Yes? All right, so we're going to do an opening prayer. We'll sing this bad boy. We'll examine the history of the lyricist and the composer and how the hymn came to be. We'll talk about the impacts of this hymn. We'll break it down musically, lyrically, thematically, and then we'll talk about some scripture that relates to it, and we'll talk about how this hymn relates to us on a personal level. I'll give you some questions, and we'll listen to some covers. I don't know what covers we're going to listen to yet. I got 3. We'll choose when we get there. Yeah? It was hard to find covers of this hymn because it's not as well known as a hymn. But it is. We'll get to that. All right. So, like I said, this is our 13th installment. We've been doing this for over a year now. We have In the Garden, Have Thine Own Way, Pass It On, Here I Am, Lord, Hymn of Promise, Sweet, Sweet Spirit, His Day Was Wonderful, In the Bleak Midwinter, Be Thou My Vision, Old Rugged Cross, Let There Be Peace on Earth, and Trust and Obey. And now, Forward Through the Ages. As we move forward through, okay. I'll leave the notes to you, Chad. Okay. Why this hymn? All right, so last Sunday we sang this at church. And I'm looking at, we get it a couple days before the program, and I'm looking at the bulletin, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, what is Forward Through the Ages? I'm like, what is this? I didn't know this one. I don't know why I didn't know it. And so I look at it, and I'm like, that looks really familiar. I'm singing it, and I start playing it. I'm like, this is Our Christian Soldiers, okay? Which, real talk, is not my favorite hymn, okay? Like, they're all great because they're all praising, but like, it's not my jam. It's so militant. It's so like, so it's just not, it's not personally my bag of chips. I don't want to yuck anyone's yum. If you love Our Christian Soldiers, watch it, okay? So, yeah, I mean, I'm just like, and I appreciate, my family is filled with people who have served and things like that, but it's just it's not my vibe. You see the ones I pick. I like all the hippy-dippy ones from the 60s and 70s, okay? This is different for me. Yeah, the ones that make you cry. I like crying. I like campfire hymns, and that's what we got. You know what I mean? But this one, I mean, I hate to be like this. My grandma loved Our Christian Soldiers. She was that person. She'd be like marching and, you know what I mean, listening to this. She was so extra. So here's the thing. So we do this at church, and I'm like, oh, I like these lyrics a lot better.
Yeah.
Okay, I really do. I like the unity. I like what it was talking about. I like moving together as a unit in a way that wasn't so like, I was into it. And then when Pastor Larry isolated the second verse in church, I was like, oh, that's poignant. That resonates with me. And so I was like, well, that's the hymn. That's the hymn for Wednesday. So it always happens when I don't know what we're going to do, and somebody does something, and I'm like, well, that's the choice. So, yeah. So that's how we got here today. That's about, is that all I had in here? Yeah. Oh, I had to know more. That was the last thing I wrote. I was like, I know nothing about this hymn. I need to know more. So, okay, I need to pull this up so I can actually play it. I did find a video of this guy straight up just playing this hymn. just like playing it from memory, embellishing, doing all these fancy things, and I was like, well, that's not me. So let me get my music out. All right, let's.
Scroll down. It's just.
It's probably. I have good paper and not good paper.
Lively.
This feels a little flimsy. This feels like the Dollar General paper, not the Walmart paper. All right. It's not that good. Walmart paper. Oh, I'm never gonna let me do this again. Okay. All right. Let's bow our heads. Let's say a prayer, and let's get all set for this. All right. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the opportunity for us to gather here today, to fellowship and be together and learn about music and further in our faith and just come together as a group and enjoy music in your name. This is a true blessing and we thank you for that. Please be with us today. Please give me the words to express what I need to express and be with everyone here today and thank you for them. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, let's sing. Yeah? You know the tune! So, all right. I probably should have played this before today, but we'll lean on one Sunday. Ready? Arthur Sullivan. Yes? Gilbert M. Sullivan. Well, I know! I said the same thing. I was like, oh, isn't that nuts? Okay, so let's talk. I love all your faces right now because I did the same thing. I didn't even know, and I was like, what? Okay, so let's talk about Gilbert Sullivan, but not Gilbert Sullivan. Okay, so Arthur S. Sullivan, also known as Sir Arthur Seymour Sullivan. Yes, lots of S's. Too bad. Okay, he was born the 13th of May, 1842, and he died the 22nd of November, 1900. Yes? Okay. So he was born in Lambeth, London. He was the younger of two children, both boys, of Thomas Sullivan and his wife, Mary Clementina, which is a great last name. Okay. I love it. Anyway, all right. His father was a military bandmaster. He was a clarinetist and a music teacher. So he was born in Ireland but raised in Chelsea and London. And his mother was English-born of Irish and Italian descent. So he's very like a mix of a whole bunch of European greatness. Young Arthur became proficient with many of the instruments in his band, in the band because of his dad. And he's like, learn all these things. And he composed his first anthem, By the Waters of Babylon, when he was 8 years old. 8 years old, writing songs for the entire band. That's crazy. He later, this was a quote from him, talking about his youth. I was intensely interested in all that the band did and learned to play every wind instrument, with which I formed not merely a passing acquaintance, but a real, lifelong, intimate friendship. I gradually learned the peculiarities of each, what it could do and what it was unable to do. I learned in the best possible way how to write for an orchestra. So, yeah, it's a little bougie from the get-go, but that's all right. In 1856, at 14, he was awarded the first Mendelssohn Scholarship by the Royal Academy of Music. He was so great there that they're like, hey, stay for another year. So like he was there for a while, just on full ride because he was so talented. It allowed him to study at the academy and then at the Leipzig Conservatoire, there we go, not conservatory, conservatoire, in Germany, yes? To supplement the income from his concert works, he wrote hymns. He wrote parlor ballads and other light pieces. Oh, the light pieces and tales, but okay. And he worked as a church organist, which he loved. He loved doing this. He also was a music teacher teaching private lessons on the side, which he hated. So as soon as he could financially support himself, he was like, I'm done teaching private lessons. He did not like it. To each their own. I love my private lessons, but okay. I love my church job too, but I love that he was like, okay, I'll do these things. He's like, I really like the church, not so much the teaching. So you guys have heard of Gilbert and Sullivan. You've heard of all these things. I know them as being a musical theater person. I've never done Pirates of Penzance. I have no desire to do Pirates of Penzance. Everyone's always trying, Hiram's always trying to get, he's like, let's do Pirates of Penzance. I'm like, no. No, yeah, Benson wanted to do it too. So they're trying to make this Gilbert Sullivan thing happen in Marion, and I'm like, I'm not your girl for that. But he was best known for 14 comic opera collaborations, which is basically a way of saying musicals. Okay, so there was a musical before this in 1866, The Black Crook. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. I just taught a big long week of Broadway history at Art Section. We were talking about it was a 6-hour-long musical. Okay, it was like the first, it was wild. And people at ran for 600 something performances. People would go 6 hours to watch this thing. And then Gilbert and Sullivan came along, and they're doing these like operas, but they're technically musicals. But then they really attribute Oklahoma to being the first like musical. But still, I mean, they were essentially writing musicals in the late 1800s, which is pretty cool. Even if it's not your bag of chips. He's best known for those 14 opera collaborations with Gilbert, whom he met in 1870, including HMS Pinafore, the Pirates of Penzance, and the Mikado. Did I say that right? Mikado? That was not what I thought it was. I think I've said that wrong my entire life.
You're a good Southern Illinois.
I'm glad I learned the things today. I always like, yeah, I definitely was Southern Illinois. All right. His works include 24 operas, 11 major orchestral works, 10 choral works and oratorios, 2 ballets, incidental music to several plays, and numerous church pieces, songs, piano, and chamber pieces. I was reading about the plays, I'm like, what plays? He would just like score Shakespeare plays, which would just be right, whatever you need music to. He's like, here I am, I'm Sullivan, let's write it. So it's great. So the music was composed in 1871. Sullivan named this tune that we are doing today. Why is this falling all the time? Oh, I did that. We're the best. He called this Saint Gertrude. If you see at the bottom of your little papering thing, it says Saint Gertrude. Yes, that's what this tune is called. Yeah. So here's why. I could not find much about it except for this. I looked all over. Is that Sullivan named the tune Saint Gertrude after the wife of his friend Ernest Clay Kerr Seymour, at whose country home he composed the tune. So for some reason, he wrote this tune at this house. He was like, yeah, I'm gonna name this after your wife. So, you know, he kind of had a crazy life a little bit. So maybe that's why. I don't know what happened. You can leave that to yourself. The Salvation Army loved it. They're like, this is our new procession. They're like, this is what we're gonna march to all the time is this song. This piece eventually became Sullivan's most popular hymn. His health was never robust. He was sick. He had like kidney problems. He had all these things wrong for like 30s on. And he had to conduct sitting down. Oh, here's a picture of him young. Look at how fabulous and weird. I love him. I love his weird hair. Yeah, it's great. I'm gonna do mine like that at church. Show us that other one. So he got this gig conducting, okay, and it was for like I don't know, some symphony in like I don't know, London, and they were like, he's awful at it. They hated the way he conducted. They didn't think he was good at it, and he was kind of like, yeah, I'm not really good at this, and he left after like a year of doing it. But this is the caricature. They drew him conducting. Because he often had to sit down. Yeah, he's just not into it. He doesn't like teaching, he doesn't like conducting. He just wants to write his songs and play. Yeah, so I just thought that was so funny. I love this so much. He's chilling. I mean, look at his tiny little feet. Anyway, all right. So great. Okay, that's the other guy. So
that's the other guy? I
That's
thought
great.
that was...
No, I like a little preview. And that other picture was maybe, it's still funny. It's still great. I think I might frame that in my house. He's so funny to me. Where am I at? So, yeah, he was not healthy. He died of heart failure following an attack of bronchitis in his flat in Westminster on the 22nd of November, 1900, at the age of 58. He was never married, but had many love affairs. I will leave out all of that as we are in the Lord's house, but you can Google that and see his many people. So he was a busy guy, you know, just relaxing. That picture, man. I can see how he just had so many suitors. All right, anyway. God bless you, Sullivan. All right. So that's your take on Gilbert Sullivan, a really interesting version of his life. All right, this next guy, Frederick Lucian Hosmer. Yes, very, look at that. Look at that beard and stash. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, very like, this guy, I like this guy, what I read about him. So, Frederick Lucian Hosmer. He was born in 1840 and he lived until 1929. He was born in Framingham, Massachusetts on October, that was hard, on October 16, 1840. He was the son of Charles and Susan Hosmer. He graduated from Harvard in 1862 and from the Harvard Divinity School in 1869. So essentially, he's just like, he was a Unitarian minister, right? Very, like, one of the most prolific Unitarian writers of music. Like, they put him up here, like, super, you know, well regarded, that's what I'm trying to say. So, he's going to all these schools, he's studying divinity, he's studying, he becomes friends with this guy, William Gannett, when both were students of the divinity school, and they go on to write more hymns together. So, he writes the lyrics, the other guy writes the music. In his earlier years, he was known as a beloved pastor and an acceptable preacher. So, like, 4 different things talk about this that I found in sites. And they're like, he was so loved. He really cared for his congregation. He did so much for his church, but man, his sermons, he like just, I don't know.
They were acceptable.
They were acceptable. You get a C, very middle of the ground, but he did a lot of great things, so this is good. I just thought it was so funny. His most successful pastor being in Cleveland, where he built up this really strong and influential church. He was all around here. So, and he was, in October 26, 1869, he was ordained minister of the First Congregational Church Unitarian of Northborough, Massachusetts, where he remained for 3 years. Then, I'm giving you his whole thing, because he's been everywhere. From October 1872 to April 1877, he served as a minister at the Quincy Unitarian Church in Quincy, Illinois. So, yeah, he was active not only as an organizer and director of the activities of young people, I thought this was interesting, but as a power in liberalizing the thought of the Quincy, Illinois community. So he was really trying to like open everyone's minds and shift. And this is the turn of the century and things like that. So like he's really trying to get people to maybe come together as more than apart. And that makes sense with everything that was going on historically at the time. Thereafter, he was minister of the First Unitarian Church of Cleveland, Ohio, from 1878 to 1892. He went on to be the minister of the Church of the Unity in St. Louis from September 1894 to September 1899. Then he went on to Berkeley, California. He was there until he died on June 7th, 1929. He was named minister. I can never say this word. You can say it. Emeritus. Emeritus. Like America.
Yeah, but east.
Emeritus. I'm saying it right. Emeritus. All right, I say it a couple times so that I never mess it up. I'm always like, okay. So he does this forever. He finally finds his home church. He's everywhere else for like 3 to 4 years, and then I like that he was all around where we're at.
Pretty good though for being acceptable.
For sure.
Yeah.
You know, pretty high demand, pretty good for just being an acceptable.
Cross country?
I wonder if that's what they're going to say about my dad. She was an acceptable teacher. Please put that on my headstone. Okay. He was a lecturer on hymns. He lectured on hymns at Harvard in 1908. He was president of the Harvard Divinity School Alumni Association in 1920 and 1921. So here he is doing his last preaching gig, and then they're like, hey, come back and talk about hymns at Harvard. He's like, okay. So he did that, kind of went back and forth.
It's a long way to go.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And they were like, hey, we need you. And he did it. You know, he really had an affinity for Harvard, a lot of that. He's like, oh, of course you did. If you go to Harvard, you're like, yeah, I went to Harvard and I loved it. So that makes sense. He died they said, in his rooms in the Hotel Carlton in California. I was like, you don't even have a house. You just like lived hotel to hotel, but that's all right. He was 88 years old, never married. He just, yeah. Well, I was doing some research and I'm like, oh,
Because he
this
was
is
an
like
acceptable. Acceptable.
I'm fired. Yeah, so he never married, but I read that they're like, he was a real friendly guy. Like, he got along with a lot of people. A lot of people really liked him. He was really focused on his mission and his work, and I get that, I respect that. So I found this interesting. It was not until he approached middle life that he began to write hymns. So he was like 40 and was like, let's write hymns. And I'm like, oh, there's hope for me, good. Maybe I'll be like, it was just, you know, it was cool that this isn't the first person that we've studied that like halfway through their life is like, hey, we should do this. I'm having a change of thought. We should look at it this way. So that's when he became hymn lyricist. So the American Unitarian minister, this guy, wrote well over 100 hymns. He collaborated on famous collections like Unity Hymns and Chorals. While an exact lifetime total is not firmly established, it was hard to find some stuff on it because it's so long ago. 50 of his most celebrated works were published in this prominent anthology, The Thought of God in Hymns. I like that. The Thought of God in Hymns. I thought that was lovely. You can find that book. It's still accessible. It's still around today. Easy to find. I was like, well, that's cool. Because of his writing, many of his pieces entered common use. So some of these more popular ones, I was not familiar, but maybe you guys will be. So obviously forward through the ages. Not always on the Mount may we. Oh, beautiful my country. Thy kingdom come on bended knee. That one sounded familiar. That's crazy. Yeah, I didn't know that, but I think it's mostly Unitarian used in comparison to this. So, but who knows? They're everywhere. So, the origin story of this hymn, not as like flushed out as some of the other ones we found. We've had these really weird, intricate stories sometimes. This one's just pretty simple. It was written ours says 1908. Other people say 1909. There was some discrepancy on that. Everyone's fighting over it. I'm like, okay, it was just old. It's normally described as having been written for the induction of a minister of the First Unitarian Church in Berkeley, California in 1908. However, the history of the Berkeley Unitarian Universalist Church says that Hosmer composed this hymn for the dedication of the church's parish hall, which was in 1909. So that's why they're like, oh, he wrote this for this, you know, so there's some, I don't want to be like, oh, this is wrong, but that makes a little bit more sense. They would have that documented in their thing. So I don't know. We could just go through all the hymnals and change it to the 1909. I'm sure no one will ever go to, so I'll be upset. Okay. So his lyrics, that was it. He just wrote it. They're like, hey, write this for this opening. And so he did. So, and he took this tune, the St. Gertrude. And Bonner Christian Soldiers was already out It was a much older hymn. It was years before this. It was like 40 years before this. You know what I mean? It was a long time. So, yeah, super old hymn. So it was, what was happening is they were trying to be more progressive in the verbiage that they were using in these hymns. So I think he wanted to take something old and repurpose it to be like, hey, in my opinion, the church is evolving. We are evolving in our faith and our ministries. Here's an evolution of this tune. That's just my take. So what the internet said, Hosmer's lyrics were heavily influenced by the era's progressive theology, which emphasized human progress, the gradual perfection of humanity, I don't like that, but still, the advancement of humanity, and collective social action. And that's what I like about this hymn, but we'll get there in a minute. Rather than focusing on the traditional inward experience of individual salvation, the hymn acts as a marching song to inspire the faithful to labor toward a kingdom of love and peace on earth. Thank you behind that. Originally published in Hosmer's The Thought of God in Hymns and Poems, the hymn is now widely featured across multiple denominations. It remains a staple in progressive and liberal Protestant hymnals, such as the United Methodist Hymnal and the New Century Hymnal, for its emphasis on unity, active service, and the evolving realm of God. I like that. I like that too. And there's a version here that really relates to that, but we'll do that in a minute. I'm trying to jump ahead because I just want to talk about the lyrics. The impact. It's published in 88 different hymnals. That's a lot. That's a lot that this song shows up, especially because it's probably with honor Christian soldiers too, even though a lot of churches don't use that hymn, and there was a whole thing about it. I'm sure you guys know about this, but they were like, you know, we don't know if we're going to do this anymore, and then people were like, no, you can't take that out of our hymnals. And like, I don't know, it is a part of history, so I get it, you know what I mean? You can choose to use it or not. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I'll leave that up to you to think about. This social gospel hymn was the product of the turn of the 20th century theology that expressed optimism and the progression of humanity. There's this guy, Walter, wow, this is the name, Walter Rauskenbusch, okay? That's what we're gonna do. It was a lot of letters. 1861 to 1918, he solidified the social gospel in his volume, Christianity and the Social Crisis, in 1907. Dr. Young notes, by the 1930s, the social gospel hymn had become the marching song of liberal Protestantism, that's so hard, in the United States. So it's saying, hey, we're being more progressive, we're trying to really open up, we're trying to get more people involved in this and appeal to more people, while still staying true to the root of everything. Forward Through the Ages bears the unmistakable imprint of the early years of this movement. His optimism and progressive hope for an ever-evolving humanity places Hosmer alongside other hymnists. So then they mention all these other guys. So they're from different realms of Christianity. So we have Congregationalists. This guy was named Washington Gladden. He did "Oh Master, Let Me Walk With Thee." He's very highly regarded. They talked about the Methodist Frank Mason North. He did "Where Cross the Crowded Ways of Life." Does anyone know that? I was like, how you do? I was like, why is this? But he was just regarded for this progressive kind of thing. Episcopalian. These words are hard today. This is why I like doing the 60s hymns. I understand those words. I understand those days. They're basic. Where's my Philip Bliss? Where's like these days? Okay, anyway. So, Walter Ruskell Bowie. Okay, Oh Holy City, Scene of John. He was awesome. Like, so these are all people from different genres, I hate to say that, of Christianity, where they are all moving forward with this movement together and trying to include this kind of language in their hymns. All right, let's break this puppy down. This is what I want to do. All right. So let's talk about this piece. We have the musical structure and form, all these technical elements of this piece, which I find really interesting. So we are at 4/4 time, which is perfect for marching. 1, 2, 3, 4, right, left, right. It's backwards for marching band, so it does. But anyway, usually my hymns are 3/4. It was wild. This is the first 4/4 one we've had in a hot minute. So the tonality is E flat. E flat has always been my favorite key. When I was a little kid, the very first, not a little kid, I was like 10, but the first song I ever wrote was in E flat. So I just love E flat, okay? And I was like, oh, that's why I like this hymn, maybe a little bit, because I like it. So the form is 6/5/6/5 D with refrain. We see that little guy down there, yeah, underneath where it says St. Gertrude. So we've talked about this before, but I wanted to break this down further because I usually gloss over it without really breaking it down. Let's do it today. So, the 6-5-6-5 indicate the syllable count for the first lines in a stanza. So, we have 6 and then 5. Forward through the ages, yes, 6 in a broken line, yeah? It does this every time, okay? And it repeats it, but they put a D for the double. So that's why that weird D is there, because this happens again. So they double that before we get to the refrain. That's why the D's there. So if you see that, you're like, it's double syllables, you'll know when you were singing in church. All right, so, an example, the 4-line stanza will have 6 syllables in the first line, 5 in the second, 6 in the third, 5 in the fourth, so on and so forth. So they take this 4-line thing and make it 8 lines. Everything's just doubled. So that's it. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that they do that. And I count them every time, even though like I know the hymnal's not lying, but I'm like, I want to make sure these syllables are right. I do it every single time. But it's fun. It's fun. So the musical structure and breakdown. And then, at the end we have this refrain. That's why it says with refrain. We have this every time that we sing, kind of cementing that. We've talked about that before. It happened. Here I Am, Lord is a good example of that, where we're singing that over and over again at the end of each thing to like reiterate and solidify what this is all about. The hymn's music is organized into a stanza refrain structure typical of Victorian era processional hymns. So the stanzas, we have this AABC phrase model, which we don't usually talk about this AABC thing. It's a way, you can also do it with Roman numerals, where we can break down pieces. So like with my piano students, we'll be like, this section is like this section. So we'll have A, or A1, you know what I mean, or A2. And they're similar, but a little bit different. So these two are very similar. And then it goes to this weirder kind of thing that's going up, and then back down, so it changes. So even though we're doing the same exact syllables, the same kind of time, we're changing this melody, so it gets a different letter, because it sounds a little bit different. Yeah? That's why that's there. Is it easier? Does that make sense, kind of? Okay, good. I don't usually explain it. Well, you have A, A, B, and then C, because it's totally different. Just a way to break it up. So the first half features 2 4-measure periods, the A and the A. The melodic contour features dotted rhythms. These long ones, ages, long, short, long, yeah. And then it does this big leap that goes up, and it's supposed to build momentum. Like, how faithful spirits. Yeah, it's supposed to be very big there. Yeah, it's really a lot lower than how it goes. You guys can do that, sing it up there, do sopranos. Yeah, okay. Love you for it. I know I heard you. I was like, yes, girl. Okay. What else? Second half. This is the B section. It briefly pivots to a related key or harmonic peak, followed by this totally different thing. Yeah? So here it is, boom, 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 up, 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 and then it goes back down, and it gets us ready to go into this refrain. So you kind of see that it's like ebbing and flowing and leading you to this point, which is the heart of the song. Yeah? Cool. We spent a long time on that, but I thought it was cool. This very last refrain, they call it a marching tempo, marital tempo refrain. I like that. It restates the primary melody in the opening line forward through the ages in a broken line. Because they say it here, and then we say it again. So we start, and we end with it. It's repeating this. It's like it's a mantra. They're saying it over and over again. It functions as a dynamic, unifying choral response to the verses. So it's solidifying the congregation's sense of mission and movement. That's what I was trying to get to. I like that this song has mission and movement. It's trying to rouse people to be active, to come together in this way and move forward as one. I love that, in a broken line. Let's talk about this context. There's all these themes. While the tune St. Gertrude was originally composed as a militant military march for the hymn Onward Christian Soldiers, the Unitarian community repurposed it in 1908. So Hosmer's lyrics transformed Sullivan's marching tempo into a progressive, optimistic anthem of the social gospel movement, emphasizing collective forward-moving mission of love and light. Yes, so let's talk about each one of these stanzas. So the first one we have, kind of the theme of this is continuity and diversity in the church. So this first one, forward through the ages, in unbroken line, move the faithful spirits at the call divine, gifts in differing measure, hearts of one accord. I love that one, that's my favorite. Manifold the service, one the sure reward. Yeah? So, and I'll talk about this more because it happens again in a second. I think, especially where our church is at right now, and this is just my 2 cents, I feel like everyone's trying to do something. You know what I mean? Everyone is very goal-oriented right now, especially with the emphasis this month on all the missions. And like, everyone's just finding different ways to serve. Even with the creation of the new jobs in the church, you know what I mean? Everybody's just like, how can I help? And I like the gifts in differing measure. I've said this before. So I tried to help with the tech team, right? I'm awful at tech. Okay? I was like, I'm good at
You
social
are
media.
awful.
No, I really am. You should see me try to work this thing one time. I was like, just hit buttons, help them for the best. So I like social media, but I am not good at tech. I've tried, not my bag of chips. This, I understand music a little bit more than technology. So like, this is how, this is, yes, and this is my gifts in a different measure. It doesn't mean that tech is bad, it just wasn't my gift. Tech is good. Without tech, how would we do this? How would we reach anyone? How would we have the you know what I mean, the screens, all these things. I love that we have different gifts and that everyone seems to have been using them, you know? And I think that that is what really drew me to using this hymn today, even though it's not a well-known hymn, not maybe my favorite in connotation with the Onward Christian Soldiers, but in a way, yeah, I mean, this is us right now. We have all these different gifts and we're putting them together for the greater good and doing great things for everyone. You know what I mean? Who thought that like buying a 3D printer would be helpful for kids? And it was. It meant so much to them. So like different measures, different gifts, different things that we can do. That's why I like this verse. Anyway, see, I'm already getting off topic. The opening established that believers move forward in an unbroken life. I love that we are all together. And Sam talks about like, I tell my plants, this is harsh, thrive or die. Okay? I tell them all the time. I say, thrive or die. You are either going to make it or you are going to wilt and die, and I'll buy another plant. But I like that this is like, we're all together. We're in this together. We're all going to thrive as one or we're not. You know what I mean? But we're going to do it together. And I like that that's what this hymn is about. Anyway, one more plants. God bless them. Anyway, it honors, okay, so this stanza 1 honors the faithful spirits who respond to the call divine, while believers have diverse gifts and serve in many ways, manifold the service, yeah, they share one accord, one ultimate reward, and a collective journey moving through time and through faith. Yeah? Stanza 2, the social gospel and heritage. I like when the internet gives me fancy things. So the theme is the call to action and the legacy of like our spiritual ancestors, the people that came before us. You know what I mean? That set this precedent. I mean, that's what these people are. These people are creating things, and we're learning about them, and we're like, oh, cool. Their faith helps our faith, you know? So the second stanza, let's read it. Wider grows the kingdom, reign of love and light, for we must labor till our faith is sight. Prophets have proclaimed it, martyrs testified, poets sung its glory, heroes for it died. That's the one that Pastor Larry read in church, and I was like, wow, that's beautiful. And I love that it covers all those different groups. Ooh, this is cool. Technology, gifts. That's so cool. What? Oh, I got chills. I don't know why that gave me chills. I was like, that's exactly my point. Thank you, Carrie. Wow, amazing. That was cool.
Pleasures.
It's great. Okay, but that's the point. Is that her gifts, well, my gifts, and we'll all have gifts together, and everybody's, you know what I mean? Everybody's
One accord.
Yes, one accord. So it's great. It's lovely. I love that they take the time in this hymn to talk about each one of those groups. And I think it's it touches our, I keep touching this mic. Sorry, online people. I'm smacking it a lot today. But I like that it's talking about heavy things, but in a beautiful way. You know, and I like that they use the word heroes. Like, I love the words that he's choosing for the second verse. It's maybe, I really love it. It really touched my heart. And when Pastor Larry read it, it gets emotional, and then I'm like crying in church at the piano, and I'm like, don't look at me. But like, it was just, it's a lovely poem. It's a lovely poem. Okay, so the stanza articulates the progressive goal, building a realm of love and light. Believers are reminded that they must physically labor to make their faith a visible reality. And that's the thing about this hymn too. If you want to make things happen, you can't just sit around. You know, you have to do something. You need to use your God-given gifts for God. A good thing, you know, that's a good thing. We should do that. And I like that this stanza propels that. They They said, believers are reminded that they must physically labor to make their faith a visible reality. The pursuit is supported by a rich heritage of those who came before, prophets, martyrs, poets, and heroes, who bore witness to this kingdom. And I put on here that, like, everyone does their part in their own way. Service is individual, but for the collective. So, like, we all may be doing different things, but it's all towards one goal. It's beautiful. That's beautiful. It's beautiful. Stanza 3, independence, interdependence and purpose. So the theme here is unity and like the ultimate destiny of humanity, where we're this end goal. Let's talk about this. Not alone we conquer, not alone we fail. In each loss or triumph, lose or triumph all. Yeah? Drive it down. So, really though, we'll thrive. Because we got God, you know what I mean? So it'll be all right. Hosmer emphasizes deep interconnectedness. In each loss or triumph, lose or triumph all. No one conquers or fails in isolation. Yes? Especially when we have our faith. When we have Jesus with us. I mean, you're not alone. Even if you may feel alone, you are not alone. And then we have this community too, and they're going to make sure you're not alone. So, yes, it's like an extension of his hand and a big old hug, and that's beautiful. Bound together by God's our purpose, all of humanity and creation acts as one living whole, working towards the shining goal. I like shining goal. I like that this is all about light and love. That's great. So the refrain, yes, which we could have done every time, but we don't need to. Yes, forward through the ages, in unbroken line, move the faithful spirits at the call divine. Yes, it's a call to action. It's rousing. It's building momentum. It's moving us forward. It's about divine guidance. This refrain repeats the opening declaration, functioning as an anchor for your congregation to sing. I like the idea of it as an anchor. This is our root, and everything comes from that root. It serves as a rhythmic reminder that the driving force behind the faithful's journey through history is what God wants us to do. That's our calling. Okay, let's talk about some verses, yeah? So, the cloud of witnesses, yeah? This is referencing, these are kind of, I don't know, it was hard to find direct references to some of these things. Sometimes, and it'll say it down here, we're like, it's this verse inspired it. We don't have anything like that this time. So, Hebrews 12:1, the opening verse, forward through the ages in a broken line, reflects the imagery of the book of Hebrews, where the faithful throughout history form a continuous legacy of belief and perseverance. So here I pulled this verse. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. I was like, that works. I see us like racing towards this all together in a line, also racing towards the line. I don't know. I just see it. Okay. The body of Christ and spiritual gifts. This is 1 Corinthians 12. The lyric gifts in different measure is a direct nod to Paul's teaching in Corinthians and Romans that believers are given diverse spiritual gifts to serve the whole community. I didn't put all of 1 Corinthians 12 in here, but I pulled a couple of them. So starting with verse 4, there are different kinds of gifts, but the same Spirit distributes them. There are different kinds of service, but the same Lord. There are different kinds of working, but in all of them and in everyone, it is the same God at work. That's a good one. Okay, and then I also pulled 12 through 14. Just as a body, though one, has many parts, but all its many parts form one body, so it is with Christ. For we were all baptized by one Spirit, so as to form one body, whether Jews or Gentiles, slave or free, and we were all given the one Spirit to drink. Even so, the body is not made up of one part, but of many. I like the collectiveness. Talks about prophets, martyrs, saints. The internet was like, yeah, just Acts. I was like, okay, well, yeah, Acts is good for that. But I also pulled Hebrews 11 again. It references that again. This line, prophets have proclaimed it, teachers testified, martyrs for it died, encapsulates the biblical narrative of the faithful. It references the Old Testament prophets and the New Testament apostles who suffered and died for their faith. So like that Hebrews 11 is just like, hey, this guy went through this. This guy went through this. Do you know what I'm talking about? This is a really bad version of me, like summarizing the Bible. But it's like, Abraham went through this. And it's just like, it's so much of that. So it's showing that all these people before did these things, and that is our martyrs, it's all those people. It's all those things they're talking about. So if you need that list, that's there. It's very long. I was like, do I cut any of this? I'm like, no, just go read it. Okay. Unity and mutual care. This is 1 Corinthians 12:26. The hymn's third stanza declares, not alone we conquer, not alone we fall, and each loss or triumph, lose or triumph, fall. This perfectly summarizes the biblical principle the church is one body, where the suffering or success of one member impacts the entire community. Yeah, that we are connected. The verse says, if one part suffers, every part suffers with it. If one part is honored, every part rejoices with it. I love that. And that's true. It's really true. Okay, so why this hymn resonates with me? I think I've said this the entire time, but I'll well say it again. I like that this hymn takes an already well-known tune, and makes it accessible to everyone. I feel like these are ideas that everyone can get along. No one's like, hey, and I don't mean to be like about Our Christian Soldiers. It is a good song, and we do sometimes have to be like that. You know, you have to fight. You know what I mean? That is required sometimes of us. But I like that this is just really inclusive and positive and all these things. So I like that it takes this tune that maybe was alienating to some and makes it accessible to all and for everyone. So I like the repurposing of the sacred tune. I like that. Instead of super militant, it becomes a unifying call without the excessive verbiage. Yeah. I really resonate with how it addresses different skill sets and those that gave what they had to give for the Lord. We give what we can do. We give what we have, and we support one another. And that's, for me, what being a Christian is all about. I want you to think about how this hymn resonates with you. What, you know, if how this touches your heart in some way. Yeah? Anybody? You can share if you want. Put you on the spot. You just think about it. You can message me if you want. Yeah? Okay. Questions to ponder. A bunch today, okay? I'm sorry about it. Who are the prophets, martyrs, poets, and heroes in your own life or community whose legacy you're building upon? Yeah? So who are these people that you can kind of look at and say, yeah, I want to do that. I want to be faithful in that way. I want to pull from that and use that. Yeah? Think about that. Who are your prophets, martyrs, poets, and heroes? The hymn states, for it we must labor till our faith is set. How does this lyric frame the role of the church? Does it focus more on building a heavenly kingdom in the afterlife or building a just, loving society in the present? I think it could be both. I'm always like, it could be both. I want to see them all, but still. Think about that, because that's different for everyone. What specific labors or actions is the hymn inviting modern congregants to take in their local communities? I mean, I think that we have a lot of examples of that right now. Yeah, 100%. And like our specific missions right now, I mean, a lot of them are helping kids, and that's our future. You know what I mean? So we're setting that example now to hopefully be those people that they can look up to. Those, you know what I mean? Prophets, the martyrs, the poets, the heroes. You know? I mean, like, Jan, I don't mean to like just use your example, but like, you're a hero. I can't say it. You're a hero for that little girl. You know what I mean? You were. So like you sharing that story touched everyone's heart. I'm sorry. And it just, that's a hero. You know what I mean? So now you did something here in the future that she can look to that and pass that on. Be a hero in somebody else's life. It's just this continuing thing. On and on. Sorry to use you as an example, but I'm just seeing you and it just popped in my head. I need to write it down. Anyway, oh gosh, it's so emotional. I'm like, Pastor Larry right now. God love it. God love it. Sweetheart. Okay, so.
The same impact on a lot of us.
Yes, and I mean, that's a lot.
I always think our church is planting seeds in everything we do. Those seeds will come to fruition sometime.
Yes, that's lovely too. Don't, you guys are making me cry when I get on my fan. I got it, man, I can't. All right, how does this hymn validate individual diversity within a collective mission? I think we've talked about this diverse things that we all bring to the table. How can a community honor different types of service? So like there's quiet caregiving, there's public activism, there's artistic contributions. Do you know what I mean? These are all equally valuable parts towards the same whole. So think about that. Think how we can honor these different types of service, how we can value them. I think we're really good at doing that, especially here. Like, we have a community for that, and other churches do too, of course. Okay, the final stanza boldly declares, not alone we conquer, not alone we fail, and each loss or triumph, lose or triumph all. How does this view of shared victory and shared loss challenge our modern, highly individualized culture? Yes, we are in a time right now where it's kind of, some people are very much every man for themselves. Some people are like, well, I don't like that, so I don't like you. You know what I mean? This hymn is, I think, in stark contradiction to those ideas. So,
We need each other.
we need each other. We need each other to grow. We're not going to grow. We're going to be stagnant if we're alone. Yes. So, think about that. Think about how this view is in contrast to that, and how we can kind of bring this more into all of our interactions and everything we do. How does this realization that we lose or triumph all affect how we support one another during difficult times? Yeah? Okay, last question. There's a lot of questions, I told y'all. Because the hymn is a product of the early 20th century social gospel movement, it is known for its optimism and focus on human effort. Some critics find the militant, conquering language of the hymn a bit jarring. I don't think it's as jarring as the other, but it still is, it's still got that propulsion, for lack of a better word. How do you personally balance the idea of conquering or striving with the ministry of grace and peace? So that's something that I would like to put into my life, like conquering, striving, winning, succeeding. We need to do these things with grace and peace and eloquence and kindness and humility, all of those things. Yeah? Okay, great. So I have some covers. All right, 3 options. Why don't you guys pick? So, I have, well, I don't know if I would, I like this, I'm just gonna tell you about it. So, and then we'll decide. So this guy is just vibing playing piano. Okay, so check out this, there's like 20 views. It's literally some guy playing from memory, just playing this song.
Here, I'll just play the beginning of it
Yeah,
as you tell him.
can you like skip halfway through it? Is that weird? Because I want you to hear him embellishing. You know what I mean? So it's taking this too. No music. And expounding on it.
Oh, did you want me to keep going?
Carrie, you're so great for this. Yeah, I don't know if he's blind. I think he's just vibing. I think he's just vibing. Some people would do that. I don't, because I need the music. I would never do this. But hear all his, like, extra things. That's with the heart, I feel like. Yeah, that's good, Carrie. Thank you. It's so funny. When I first started here, I asked Dean, I said, Dean, what do I do? Do I just play the same thing as you? I've never told you guys this story, but I'll tell you right now. And I was like, do I just like play the same as you? Or do you want to play it? I'll like embellish piano around you. He goes, I don't know if we're ready for that yet. And so literally, I've still just done it anyway. So like, I'll add in extra notes and I'll like double parts up and do it. And I'm like, everybody's like, Dean knows it. And I'll look at him and he'll look at me like, I know what you're doing right now. He never gives me a hard time about it. I just appreciated that guy vibing with it. Okay, excuse me. This is a choral arrangement of this, which I think is maybe where I'm, just play it for a second, can you? Can you go like halfway through again? It's hard to understand that, which is why I didn't like this. What is this song? You'll hear it in a minute. Anyway, it's this whole version of them like, they take this hymn and make it really, you hear it? So this is with a full orchestra that should be able to like, not full, but like they have snare, they have trumpet, they have all these pieces that accompany your choir. Hear it? So it's traditional and also not. Yeah? Okay, good. I'll play you this weird one. I think this is what we're vibing with. I don't know. Okay, so for those that like the words, I will play this whole one, Carrie, just a second.
Okay.
For those that like, I love that you could just do this off the cuff. Because I'm all over the place. It's like trying to take a picture of a squirrel. So just, thank you for
You do such a good job of expressing.
You do a real good job of following.
All I can do is push buttons.
Well, God bless you. So this next one, I found this randomly. It was really hard to find covers of this. You know, people don't cover this song. So I found a ton of On More Christian Soldiers, but not of this hymn. So I guess that just means we need to make one or something. But I found this. I was like, what's this? And they took these words and just put it to a totally different melody. So I will play this for you. It's a little different. It's modern. I don't know. I found it and I found it interesting. So I hope you guys find it interesting too. Let's play this one all the way through.
Okay.
Unless you guys hate it, let me know. It's extreme. I'm gonna watch this weird. No, it's fine. I'm gonna watch this weird video.
Forward through the ages in unbroken line, move the faithful spirits at the call divine. Gifts in different measure, hearts of one accord, manifold the service, one the sure reward. Forward through the ages, in unbroken line, move the faithful spirits at the call divine. Wide rose the kingdom, the reign of love and light. For it we must labor till our faith is sight. Prophets have proclaimed it, martyrs testify. Poets sung its glory, heroes for and
No idea. It doesn't even say. I mean, it sounds very new. Yeah, it sounded modern. I was like, it was interesting to me. She came in and whoever is singing it. I tried to find the artist.
what's the significance of all of them?
What?
What's the significance of all of them?
I have no idea. Maybe.
Let's make up
Yeah.
make up a story.
I have no idea. This video is so weird. Well, that's interesting. I wonder what. Maybe connecting. You know what I mean?
Make up something.
Yeah.
Make up something for the weekend.
There was some stop footage they were saying, so they just do it all together. Oh, they got shoes. I mean, I hope they're wearing shoes. And I was like, where are they? What is this in a golden place? Where's that? Is that true? I have been. I wonder if somebody's just like, did this as a one-off, you know what I mean? I think the imagery is maybe like moving forward, you know what I mean? But the beautiful thing is that you say, yeah. History's hymns of praise. So, I don't know what that is. I hope it's not AI, that'd be weird. But, so, point is, I don't know, I don't think that voice, though, how would they replicate that like that? I don't think they can do that yet. They can do music, but they can't do the voice. So it's somebody's voice. What I found interesting about this was that it was minor, okay? So instead of being like a happy, it's got, you know, a bit of that to it. So I think there was a sense of urgency that maybe this hymn didn't have. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I found it interesting and wanted to know what you all thought about it.
So
It
you
means something.
can take the words and have completely different music or something.
Yes.
Seemed like the pace was continually moving
Yes.
forward.
Yeah.
Sometimes faster.
Yeah.
Sometimes slower.
The words were the same.
Yeah, exact same words. So,
I like the fact that, I mean, I always like our Christian service just
Yeah.
because of, you need a little bit of that,
motivation.
motivation.
Yeah,
yes, to
got a lot of
move
fire
forward.
sometimes, yeah.
But in this case, I like this one too,
Yeah.
because it, going back to grace, kindness, you know, whatever it was you said,
Yes.
it has the same impact to me, but in a different way.
In a softer way, I like that. I like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely in a softer way. Same kind of goal and something I think more accessible,
Yeah.
more palatable. Yeah, because not everyone can get behind that like falling in line assimilation kind of thing. You know what I mean? I don't think that's how we look at our faith journey.
But I like that for the motivation part.
Yes.
of stuff, but
I agree. I agree with
I
that.
like the softer side too.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah, I thought it was really, it was an interesting hymn today. So thank you for like bearing with me on this weird journey through this like strange hymn. You know, I usually pick ones that I feel like are well known. Let's say a prayer and then we'll get out of here, okay? All right, dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for being here with us today. Thank you for your presence in our lives, your presence in this church, in our community, in each one of us. Help us to grow together, to be as one, to be an unbroken line. Help us find that unity in our life, that grace, that thankfulness. Just, we appreciate you so much. We appreciate being here today. And please take care of everyone here. Let everyone get home safe. And let us carry this motivation throughout our entire week and past that. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Great, guys. Thank you, guys.
By the way, Sam,
Yes.
that sand could have been a drop in there in cotton.
This was the best $10 I've ever spent in my life. I swear. I can't.